So today what we're going to do is look at section 12B, where we're looking at the Cartesian plane. Now it's called the Cartesian plane because it was invented by a mathematician named René Descartes, a Frenchman, but it's also got some other names. You might see it called the rectangular coordinate system. And if something is rectangular, think about it. That means it can go straight up, straight down, straight right, or straight left, right? Mm-hmm. Any diagonals in a rectangle? No. So there's not ever going to be any diagonal counting when you're working with these. Now that doesn't mean you can't get a diagonal line when you draw a graph on the Cartesian planes. It's just when you're plotting your points, they'll always be just straight up or straight down, right or left. Okay? Now, to understand the rectangular coordinate system, we need to understand its pieces. The first thing is that all it is simply two number lines that cross where they both equal 0. Excellent. Okay? Where they both equal 0. So right in the middle where those two lines cross, that's where they both equal 0. And that point has a special name. That point where they both equal 0 is called the origin. And if you think about that word origin is kind of like the starting point, right? Where things originate. So that is where all graphing starts, is at the origin. And we'll talk about the numbers that represent it in just a minute. Okay? So it's two number lines that cross where they both equal 0. The horizontal number line is called the x-axis. So if it's horizontal, anytime you have an x value, that means your x values are going to tell you how far you're moving horizontally, so you can only move right or left, depending on the signs. Okay? The other one is called the y-axis. It's the one that's going up and down. So y values then will tell you that you're either moving up or down. Okay? And again, it's going to be depending on the signs. The signs are going to tell you the directions. So let's just fill in some numbers on the number line. As you go here, to the right of 0, the numbers are positive, and they get bigger as you go to the right. As you get to the left of 0, the numbers are negative, and the further right you go, the smaller the numbers get, right? Okay, so we've seen that on number lines. Well, what we're doing now is we're going to overlay another number line on top of it. And as you're going up, the numbers are positive. As you go down, the numbers are negative. So we have two number lines, one connected at where they both equal 0. Okay. All right. And now what we can do is we can now plot points on this number line using what are called their coordinates. And we'll talk about that in just 1 second. All right? Now, so what this does is it divides the graph up into 4 quadrants. So there are 4 quadrants. Quadrant meaning it's a quarter of the graph, right? And they go counterclockwise. Now, you may or may not have any questions about this in this particular section, but so no big deal. So they go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they're named using Roman numerals so that you don't look like the numbers on the number lines themselves, right? So they use Roman numerals to name the quadrants so that you don't confuse them with the actual values on the number lines. Okay? Now, if we're doing this on graph paper, you would easily see that each of these number values doesn't just exist on the number line itself, They extend infinitely, right? So let me switch to some graph paper so I can show you what I mean. So do you see, oh, if these were lined up, let's say that's 1, okay? That 1 extends all the way up and down forever. So you see here at 3, that value is 3 all the way up and down that line forever. So these are a lot easier to work with if you use graph paper or grid paper, okay? So if you look at -3 here, -3 is not just on the number line. -3 is any point on the graph where you've gone down 3 units, okay? So if you look at +2 on the y-axis, that's any point on the graph where you've gone up 2 units from the x-axis. So the y-axis is divided by the x-axis. You're either going to be above the x-axis or below it. And the y-axis divides the x-axis. You're either to the right or to the left. So you need to get in the habit of thinking up, down, right, left. Okay? All right. So now let's talk about, so we've talked about the system itself. Now we need to talk about the way we're going to write the points or the coordinates. The coordinates are always given as x, comma, y, and they're always enclosed in a bracket. That's the only way that you can be sure that you're working with coordinates on the Cartesian plane. And these are called an ordered pair. And they always come in that order. That's what ordered means, right? You cannot change the order. It's got to always be x, then the y value. And a pair means there are always going to be 2 of them. Now, in some mathematics later, you're going to see that there can be ordered triplets or even more. But for the Cartesian plane, it's a flat plane, so it's always just going to have 2 values, right? And each one of those values tells you how far and in which direction you're going to move. Your x value is always first, and it tells you how far right or left you're going to count. And again, you're just counting. So if it's +4, that means you're going to go to the right 4 units, okay, or 4 lines on your graph. And again, it's the signs that tell you what to do. If it's positive, that means you're going to go right, which makes sense because it's a number line, so as you go right, the numbers are positive. And if you go to the left, they are always negative. So negative tells you to go left. So your x value tells you how far you're going to go, either right or left, and it's the sign that tells you the direction. So the sign tells you the direction, the number tells you how far. Then for your y value, your y number line goes up and down, right? So that means that it's going to tell you how far up or down you're going to go. Again, depending on the signs. Positive is up, negative is down. So you have to think about both pieces of information. Is it an x value? Then I'm going to either move right or left, depending on the sign. If it's a y value, I'm either going to move up or down, again, depending on the sign. And we're going to look at lots of examples of these to show you how that works. Okay. Now remember, there's one number. If the value is 0, how far do you move?
Nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Move nowhere. You just stay where you are. So remember, 0 means don't go anywhere. Now it's just like walking on streets. You're just going to walk along the street on the graph, right? So let's look at the steps. First step. Start from the origin. And again, the origin means that place where the 2 number lines meet in the center. And the ordered pair for the origin is 0, 0. Go right or left, none. Go up or down, none. That means you stay right in the center. So it has its own ordered pair for coordinates. Second, okay, count the x value first. And I know to count the x value first because x always comes first in the ordered pair, just like it does in the alphabet. So the x value, so that means either go right or left, depending on the sign. Okay? So x value means go right or left. Third, from that, sorry guys, place where you land. Because remember, if you walk 3 blocks to the east, you don't go back to where you started and then keep walking to go to the next point. You just start from where you are. So don't go back to the origin every time. Each one of these is going to end up in one place. So from that place, count your y value. And again, y is either up or what?
Down.
Down. There you go. Depending on the sign. Okay? Put a dot at that end point. And label. And the label or name of it is simply its ordered pair. Okay. Super easy. If you can count, you can do this. If you can't count, then we're in trouble. Okay, so let's just draw a Cartesian plane, and I'm just going to make up some values, and we're going to talk about where they would be. So I'll try to draw as neatly as I can. So if that's my x-axis, and this is my y-axis, and you can always label them, because they may ask you to label them. If you draw a graph, you should always label everything. Right? Okay. Okay. So say, for example, I want to plot ordered pairs. Say I have 2, 3. We know it's an ordered pair because it's 2 numbers separated by a comma enclosed in a bracket. Okay? So that means we can plot it on the Cartesian plane. Now remember, the first value is your x, the second one is the y. And the x value tells you how far to move either right or left. And the y value tells you how to move up or down. Do not say over. Over 2 doesn't make any sense. Over 2. That doesn't tell me which direction to move. So you need to say either right 2 units or left 2 units. The word over has no place here, and it's a bad habit. So we're going to start at the origin, and my x value is positive 2. So that means go over to the right 2 units. Now, I'm not going to put a dot there because that's not where I'm going to finish. I'm not finished until I do an x value and a y value. So from that point, you can count your y values, which says go up 3. And that is your point. Okay? So not until you've done x and y do you get your actual point. So that's the point, positive 2, positive 3. Let's see what happens when we change the sign. I didn't change any of the numbers. I simply changed the sign. So again, we're going to start at the origin, but this time the x value is not positive 2, but negative 2, which tells you not to go to the right 2 units, but to the left 2 units. But my y value is still positive 3, so I'm still going to go up 3 units. So that's going to put me right there. Left 2, up 3. So that's negative 2, positive 3. So again, it's just a matter of counting, but you really have to pay attention to the signs. All right, let's look at another one. We're going to change signs again. Say I have negative 2, negative 3. Again, the number values haven't changed, but their signs have. So that means the directions of travel are going to change. So we start at the origin. My x value is negative 2, so that means go to the left 2. The y value is negative 3, so that tells me go what? Down 3. So negative 2, negative 3 is going to be down there. Finally, let's do one more. Say I have positive 2, negative 3. Again, same numbers, number values, just different signs. So that tells me go to the right 2, and then the negative y tells me to go down 3. So there's the point 2, negative 3. So it's the position of the numbers that tells you whether you're going up or down or right or left. Okay? All right. So what we've done is we didn't change again the number values, but we did change their signs, and that changes the direction of travel. We can also have numbers, or ordered pairs, where we have zeros as part of the number. And all you have to do is remember that 0 means stay where you are. So if I'm at 0, 3, that means I'm at the origin, and I'm just going to stay there. I'm not going to go right or left any. But I am going to go up 3 units because I have a y value of positive 3. And y of positive 3 means go up 3 units. So that's going to put me right there on the y-axis. So you can have points that end up on the y-axis. If you reverse that, then this time I am going to move in my x direction. Positive 3 means to the right 3. But then I'm just going to stay there. Because the y value is 0, it tells me to go up or down, none. So watch out for zeros. And of course, there's always that really special case, 0, 0, where's that?
On the origin.
On the origin. So it's right in the middle. Right in the middle. Okay? So all you have to do is simply know the direction of travel and how many units you're going to travel. Okay? So look at this exercise. At this point, they've given us the points, but they're asking us for the coordinates. All right? So if I'm looking for the coordinates, all I have to do is count. So if I'm looking for coordinates for A, but remember, it's always the x value first and the y value. In order to get to that point A, I have to start at the origin. I'm going to go to the right 1 unit. So that's a positive 1. And then up 4 units. Up 4 means a y value of positive 4. So you're just going to start at the origin and count from there.